I'm Julie Curran-Meskel.
And you are?
Stephanie.
Okay, so there's two kind of different stories, so it's hard to title this one. But we're going to start with the DTP story. So that's you, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, tell us what happened.
So my son was born in August of 1989, and he was born a happy, healthy baby. You know, we had planned him, we looked forward to him. You know, I just was devoted to everything surrounding his, his birth. And so he had a perfect APGAR score when he was born. Soon after that, I think it was at 2 months, he had his first DTP shot, and he had horrible reactions. He was screaming, high-pitched screaming that night. And so I called the doctor, and I felt like it was an emergency. Finally got hold of the doctor, and they said, oh, he's fine, he'll be fine. Just give him baby Tylenol. And he was never fine. And then somehow they convinced me to do another shot a couple months later, and pretty much the same thing occurred. He was very sick, and I have a baby calendar for his first year. I was at home, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I wrote down everything we did. You know, I made a little note every day of his first year, what we did. And when he had his shots, there was even a nice little sticker that says first shot. And after that, I wrote how he was ill the first week after his shot. I think one was in March and one was October. But so he started biting a lot before he was 2. His brother was born 20 months later, and he was biting his baby brother. He was biting other children, and
Verbal.
he was not very verbal. He was sort of speech delayed, bite, and I think it was probably the poisons in his brain from the vaccines, and he was just very impulsive and biting, and
so what did?
Yeah, and then he was biting until throughout preschool, kindergarten, until about age 7, and he even had an incident at age 9. He hadn't bitten for a while, and then he was trying to communicate something with a little girl. We were playing in a play group, and she didn't understand, and he couldn't communicate like he wanted to, and he bit her, and that was kind of surprising. But when he was 2 years old, we brought him to a psychologist because of his behavior, and remember the psychiatrist was telling me, well, he's a 2-year-old. Little boys have something called testosterone, and as if I didn't know that, right? And I had his baby brother in an infancy. I think he was only 2 months old, and my son Brendan, he was playing with the mini blinds in the guy's office, and he just kind of messing up his desk. And he said, no, that's fine. I've got a little girl. She's 3 and she's active too. That's just normal. And then my son picked up a timer. He had an egg timer on his desk, and he threw it at his baby brother, and missed him by like a quarter of an inch. And then he gave me a referral to another professional psychiatrist, I believe. And then I was given a prescription for Ritalin at that time. He was only 2 years old. I didn't feel it, and I kind of looked around, and I found out that it was pretty rare for a 2-year-old to be on Ritalin.
It's really sad.
Yeah. So, and I didn't know, I was just used to just listening to doctors and taking their advice, but something told me, no, I don't think he should go on Ritalin at age 2. So he didn't. But when he was in preschool, the teachers pressured me so much to put him on Ritalin. At first I said no, but by the end of the year, they said, well, listen, you can always change your mind. You can always try giving it to him, and if it doesn't work, you could stop.
How old is he at this point?
So probably 4.5 or 5.
So 4.5, 5. You were being pressured to put him on Ritalin.
Yeah, and we did, and I did, and I've always been into natural things, but I did. So I put him on Ritalin, but it didn't work at first until they put him on a higher dosage, and it finally calmed down his behavior. But he was like a zombie, and he would say, "Mommy, I can't walk next door," and it completely changed his personality. He was this happy, jovial little boy that suddenly he had a major personality change and didn't want to do anything. He was lethargic. So yeah, that was probably 9 months in. We stopped taking the Ritalin.
Okay, and how is he today?
Today, he is schizophrenic. He has schizoaffective disorder. Yes, so we went to a psychologist when he was about 9 years old. I think he was at 2. They gave him the diagnosis for ADHD.
But then they gave
But
him
then
a
again,
medication.
but then I think it was
Were you still vaccinating him?
No.
So you stopped after
I stopped.
DTP.
I stopped
had
after
no
maybe
more.
the second one or so.
And he has not had any more today?
Well,
Is
he
in
has.
living?
Yeah, he's 34 years old. He was in, I think, jail where they forced the Pfizer vaccine on him 2 years ago. He's had many hospitalizations.
Why is he in jail? Because of his disorder?
Yes, he's had psychotic episodes. So he became bipolar probably when he was 18 years old. And a child psychologist said that he may be a bipolar child, but they really can't diagnose children with bipolar. So when he was older, when he was 18, 19, he was not graduating from high school. He didn't want to go to school, even though he scored very well cognitively, and he won the academic decathlon for the entire Orange County in the 8th grade, but he just, I don't know what, but he was having problems with depression, anxiety, and given an anti-anxiety medication. He had migraine headaches, which you had migraines too from, I think, right, from a vaccine.
So where is he now today? Is he in jail or?
No, he's in an apartment, supportive housing, but he's being evicted. Yeah, he's had delusions, hallucinations. So this has
But
been.
he's still on medication.
He's been on and off of medication for the last couple months. He has not, but so his pattern last few years is he goes into the hospital on maybe a 3-day hold that turns into a 14-day hold. He's on medication, and then he's out, and maybe a week later, after he's stabilized, he doesn't take the medication. And I don't even know if it works, to tell you the truth, or not. Sometimes it might help. I don't know that he's any worse off this last couple months that he hasn't been taking medication.
And what about his brother? Did his brother take any vaccinations?
He
And when he was a baby, when he was a child, did you give him any?
Unless they gave him one maybe as a baby, the first day or two, but I did not give him.
And how is he doing?
He's phenomenally well.
Does he have any schizophrenia? Or?
No, he's completely happy. He has a great career. He's a senior software engineer, lives in San Diego. He bought a condo. He has a girlfriend and a dog, and he's into all kinds of sports. He travels a lot, and he couldn't be happier. Yes, he's very well balanced and happy.
That's really sad, though, isn't it?
It's sad, and I think it's sad. I think my older son sees that his younger brother has all the things that he would like to have. Right.
Is there anything else you want to say about this story? Because it's a powerful story of drugs and vaccinations versus no drugs, no vaccinations.
Absolutely. And I think Julie and I, we're neighbors, and
Right.
so I knew of the story about her son and the illness and everything, but we never really talked about vaccinations. Not until the mRNA, that whole thing. And because I worked in the pharmaceutical biotech industry for 33 years, lost my job because I wouldn't take the jab. We started to share notes, and it's, and you start to think, because I know a lot of my colleagues or friends from college, when they got married and had kids, their sons, several of them had autism. And I started to read the studies about the MMR vaccine associated with, autism in black boys. And I just thought, this is just ridiculous. And we just started sharing information, and here we are today. She says, let's go to the bus to tell the story, because a lot of people need to hear these stories.
So what did you do for the pharmaceutical companies? What kind of...
A lot. I worked headquarters, I worked in field sales training, a lot from selling the medications to showing people how to get reimbursed for the medications. And I was even selling in the HIV/AIDS arena, and I was a community relations person, would go to community organizations. That's how I was more familiar with Tony Fauci and all of that arena. I worked for the companies. I know of Gilead, Roche, Merck, all of the companies that are involved in this whole thing, like right now.
Pfizer.
And I just said, this is kind of crazy. You have a pandemic, and it seemed like it was more global. Everyone was doing the same thing. That has never happened before in my career. Even with 5N1, the last pandemic where Gilead had Tamiflu, which was sold by a company that I work for. And I said, something's not right. And I started to do investigation. And when Bobby Kennedy, the book came out, and then that's when I said, okay, now I see what's happening. And I knew about AZT and all of the people that had died because I worked in the industry. So I knew that this was, I don't know, it wasn't really the right thing for me to do. And
so did you question vaccinations because you worked with Big Pharma?
I did. And I know how we promote, how the drugs are promoted, how physicians are paid, reimbursement. It's a big machine. I probably will never get another job in pharmaceuticals now, but
you don't want to be working for the dark side.
No,
you come over to our side and work for us.
That's right.
But yeah, and so when I resisted of getting the inoculation, because it's not a vaccine, and I worked in infectious diseases, so I said, okay, if I had Delta, why do I need to be vaccinated? It didn't make sense. And I've sold drugs that were mRNA, but it was always for, say, for example, a child that didn't have a specific gene. And this was a tool to, replace the gene so then they would not have the effects from the disease. But I could not understand why would you inoculate someone with an mRNA drug? It's gene therapy, and it says it in their package insert, in a healthy person. It just didn't make sense.
So why do you think they did what's going on? What in your mind, what would you say is going on here?
It's all about the money, it's control. I think that it is a bioweapon, because I've been following this. I've worked in HIV and AIDS, it's just a shame. And I think that when I joined 33 years ago in the pharmaceutical industry, we help people. We saved a lot of people. But I think that now it's going in a dark space, and I just did not feel comfortable with it. And on our neighborhood, we live on a cul-de-sac with just 9 homes. 4 people have died.
From taking the shot.
Just
Yes,
recently.
just recently. And then down the street, we have 2 people, lung cancer, no history, never smoked. So you just start to look at the, you know, I mean, strokes, Parkinson's disease, all of these different illnesses. And it's just,
There's one neighbor, he was only in his 20s. I didn't know him, but he died after getting the booster shot just a month ago.
absolutely. So this is, I just can't understand why people can't see it, but it's going on, and everyone is saying that, oh, you know, they had a genetic history, or, you know, and it's crap. It's because of the shots. I do believe that's, in my opinion, it is. So it's sad.
So what did they say to you when they fired you? And which company were you working for then?
I'm not going to say which company
Come
I was
on.
working for.
Come on.
But they told me that if I didn't get the shot, they were going to place me on unpaid leave. So they placed me on unpaid leave, and this was not the hill I was going to die on, and literally.
Right, right.
And so then they said, okay, you're fired. So they fired me, and I was, you know, high ranked in my region, doing extremely well. All of my customers, you know, because I didn't sell any of, you know, drugs. I sold drugs that were helping patients that were sick, so with like bone disease. So, but yeah, so they fired me, and now a lot of people are starting to reach out to me and said, "Guy, I regret. I had 2 colleagues to die. I'm going to a funeral next week of a 44-year-old that had 4 kids, and she had gotten her booster. This was with a medical device company that I was working, you know, for a short period of time. And it's just sad to see a lot of young people that are dying. I've never seen anything like this before. Never.
Did you know about the sort of turbo cancer and all that kind of stuff while you were working in?
I'm a cancer survivor.
Right.
So I know, and both my parents died of lung cancer, but they were smokers. The neighbor down the street, my neighbor down the street, her husband died 8 weeks, lung cancer. But then she told me, she says, the doctor said that his lungs were full of clots. And I said, were they white fibrous clots? So this is in everyone is just, now they're starting to say what's going on. And the healthcare professionals, they're not saying a word. Let's do tests, let's do this, let's do that. And it's just down a rabbit hole. They're not being honest.
We're getting a lot of reports of shedding. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, I do. I cannot have someone that's vaccinated or booster in my car within close proximity.
We were
I get
talking
migraines.
about that on the way up. Yeah,
Mhm.
I wasn't sure that it was a real thing, but she's convinced it is.
It's real.
It's real.
So, and that was another reason when I had to kind of distance myself. But yeah, it's real. And when you read about the studies where vaccinated moms are shedding, you know, they're finding mRNA in infants, that's a problem. And we were talking about the Ebola live attenuated vaccine that Colorado Health was vaccinating employees, and there's a 31% instance of shedding. That's a problem.
It's a problem.
So I'll get off my soapbox.
Is there
now.
anything else either of you want to say to the people?
Just maybe it occurred to me that my friend who would like to be here today, she couldn't, but her husband died a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, after breaking his leg. He was kind of remodeling a house. He broke his leg, went to the hospital. They said he had COVID, and a week later he was on remdesivir, which is universally, it's accepted that this is a poisonous.
It's called run death, isn't it?
Run death is
Run
near.
death is
Yep.
near. Yeah.
Yeah, so he died because of that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's another thing. The 44-year-old person that died, I'm going to her funeral on Wednesday. She was diagnosed with COVID, and she went to the hospital. They admitted her, and her husband left her, pretty much, trusted in the healthcare professionals to take care of her, and she died. It's I didn't want to ask questions, but the protocol is still going on. It's still happening, and it's very sad. So I think that people just need to prepare, with a lot of medications to prevent from getting too sick. Because Delta, after the third day, that's when you would really go south, and I had to go on, of course, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, quercetin, vitamin C, vitamin D, and everything, and then I was fine. But this is a crisis, and all of the deaths that are happening, unexpected deaths, the state of California, the healthcare professionals need to look at that now, and no one's doing anything in California.
Well,
Or
thank you
anywhere.
both. Thank you both for your story. Sorry about your son, it's tragic.
Thank you.
And for you being brave and sitting there and doing that. That's what it's about. Told the truth, thank you.
Thank you, Polly.